Hi, I'm Glenn Anderson. I'm here today to talk to you about surf swimming techniques. Well, I've just been for a warm-up run, and that's the most important thing we do before any session. Right, it's really important that before any session we go out and we check the conditions, because there's no point in going out and starting a race and breaking your ankle right at the beginning. Now what I'm doing here, I'm just checking the bottom. I've marked my line where I'm going to run in, and I've spotted the can. There's no point in me checking anywhere else on the beach. So what I'm doing here, I'm looking for holes and any uneven surfaces in my run in. Right, now what I'm going to do, I'm about to go and check the finish line and my run into the finish. Now this is the most important part of the race. There's no point in me swimming my guts out for the entire race if I haven't checked the finish. You know, I may stand in a hole, get the silver medal. The surf race can be broken down into a number of key elements. The start and run in, the wade, the duck dive or porpoise, the actual swim, the body surf, the wade out of the water, and the sprint to the finish line. When I come down for a surf race, I like to get there early. I like to get to the start line early, check my position on the line. I like to check out all the conditions, what's going on. When it comes to the actual start of the race, me personally, I have my left foot forward. And I always seem to dig a little hole with my right foot. Just seems to give me that little boost at the start. Okay, once I hear the call that I'm in the starter's hands, I'm totally in the zone. I'm totally focused on one noise, and that's the sound of that gun. And once that gun goes, I'm off. Now for me personally, when I hear that gun go, I give it absolutely everything into the water. Because if I can get that 1 meter on the person next to me, that equates to a huge amount once we start swimming, and that means I get the clean water. Once we hit the water, we're into wading. The basic motion of wading is to get the knees and legs up as high as you can out of the water and keep the arms nice and high. That lifts your body and lifts your legs up and out of the water. Now I'm going to demonstrate this on dry land. I'm going to walk slowly through the technique so you can watch what happens. It's important to use your arms in a high driving motion. Now you can see that leg drive and good groin flexibility is important for good wading technique. So it's really important that you keep your stretching up. Once we've waded out as far as we can, we start porpoising. Now when we porpoise, we dive to the bottom, we grab the bottom, and then we bring our feet up to our hands. Right, now I'm on the bottom. I'm going to explode off the bottom, over the surface of the water, take a breath, back down to the bottom, just like a dolphin. When I can't porpoise anymore, I'm on the bottom for my last porpoise. I'm going to explode off the bottom, keeping up my momentum, and into my swim stroke. Right, now I've started swimming, and I've looked up and I can see a wave coming. As that wave approaches, I'm going to have to duck dive it. When I'm swimming and I see the wave approaching, I want to give myself plenty of room, plenty of time to get under that wave and to the bottom before it gets to me. I take my last breath, I get a really big breath, a really big lung full of air, I pull myself to the bottom. When I get to the bottom, I'm grabbing hold of the sand, holding on tight, and letting the wave pass over the top of me. Now there's a few ways I know when the wave is gone. I can look up, I can see the wave, I can watch it pass over the top of me, or I can hear it and feel it pass over the top of me. Once I know the wave has passed me, I'll explode off the bottom, back up and into the swimming motion once more. Now another thing I can do when I'm on the bottom, I can claw myself along the bottom to make up extra ground. Now this is especially good when there's strong undertows.
The surf swimming stroke is a lot more aggressive and less refined than a conventional pool swimming stroke. Athletes should swim with high elbows to clear the choppier water. This technique allows the swimmer to keep their head higher out of the water and take regular glances ahead to sight the buoys. The best time to sight the buoys is when cresting a wave or a swell to give you an unobstructed view out to the buoy line. Athletes should try and swim the most direct route to the buoys. You have to account for drifts up or down the beach, which you should have identified in your pre-race warm-up. Athletes also need to become comfortable swimming aggressively in packs and in turbulent conditions. When swimming in large rolling swells, it is even more important to streamline yourself and try and glide and get as much advantage from the swells and runners as possible.
Catching a wave is a really important part of the race. If you can catch a wave, you know you're in with a chance. Now, two of the major aspects of catching a wave, first of all, is timing and positioning. You have to be in the right place at the right time. Now, you learn that in the warm-up. You learn that when you're out and you're checking the conditions. Secondly, speed. You have to have your speed up because the wave's moving, you have to be as well. You need some good hard swimming strokes and kick really hard as the wave approaches. Now once the wave has picked you up, it's important to keep your body rigid and your arms out in front. Now when I'm coming down the face of the wave, I use that opportunity to take a really big breath, because when the wave breaks around me, I'm not going to get a chance to have a breath for a while. I'm in there, I'm in amongst all the turbulence, and I'm kicking as hard as I can, driving to get in front of the wave. Okay, so I've held the white water. I'm heading back to the beach now. I'm nice and rigid, and I'm using this opportunity to take some breaths back into that streamlined, rigid position. With the transition from body surfing to the run to the finish line, I've been out, I know what the bottom's like, I've checked the conditions in my warm-up. When I'm body surfing in, I'm using my arms all the time. When I feel the bottom, I know it's shallow enough for me to get up and run, and I know that I can run faster than the wave. Here's a little tip. When I'm out doing my warm-up, I'm constantly checking the conditions, I'm checking the sandbanks, where the waves are coming in, and I always check it from the last can. I always spot a landmark which is going to bring me right to the finish line.
Let's check out the tube rescue. First of all, let's have a look at setup with Rachel Anderson.
I don't like to come too far down. I like to wrap the rope around, keep it stable, roll it up towards the end that's going to be facing the beach. Wrapping it this way, towards the end of the tube that's going to be facing the water's edge, because as you pull the strap out and it unravels, it's going to unravel this way and it's going to prevent any tangles. Strap with the other over the top so that when you come in, hand on the fins, hand on the strap, over the shoulders you go. Pays to take a little bit of time setting up your fins so that at the start you've got everything set up nicely and you're not going to lose valuable seconds right at the start. So I've set the fins and tube up so that the strap's over the fins so that I can come in with one hand, grab the fins, other hand over the top with the next strap so I can pull it up the arm over my head so I don't get tangled as I run down.
This arrangement works well because the act of putting one hand through the strap to grab your fins means you're halfway there. Then all you need to do with the other hand is lift the strap up and over your head and you're away. Once you have waded to a depth at which point you can start swimming, do a dolphin dive, roll onto your back and put your fins on one at a time. The important thing to remember when putting your fins on is to take it step by step. Don't get tangled up. Concentrate on getting one fin on properly, then move on to the other fin and you're away. Now you should have swum directly to your patient at your buoy. Now we're going to take a look at the patient pickup, a very technical aspect of the tube rescue. Here we can see Rachel approaches her patient, pulls the line to bring the tube into her hand, swings it in front of her patient, who then leans forward over the tube to make it easier for the swimmer to clip the tube up. One thing the rescuer needs to remember is to swim past the buoy. The clip up must take place on the seaward side of the buoys. You can see the rescue takes place in a clockwise motion around the buoy. Take your time clipping up. This is where you could make a mistake which will cost you lots of time in a tube rescue. The patient can assist the rescuer in doing up the tube by leaning forward over it and squeezing it together with their elbows. Once the rescuer has clipped the patient in securely, it's back to the beach. The patient should streamline themselves and kick as hard as they can to assist the rescuer on the swim back to shore. Once your hand touches sand, you know it's shallow enough to get up and wade. Take your fins off and it's a run up the beach. Let's take a look at board rescue, a combination of both the swimming and board paddling disciplines. The first aspect is the swim. It is critical for the swimmer to pick up their buoy early and swim the most direct route to that buoy, accounting for drifts either way up and down the beach. Any side sweep should have been discovered when doing a pre-race recce. Once the swimmer reaches their buoy, they place one hand on top of it, raising the other hand high in the air to signal their board paddler to leave. The board paddler must be very vigilant, watching their buoy so they do not miss the signal from their swimmer. Only watch your own buoy. Do not be distracted by what is happening around you. After signalling, the swimmer remains on the seaward side of the buoy, waiting for their board paddler to come and pick them up. The board paddler also must sight the buoy early and paddle the most direct route to the buoy. The board paddler must round the buoy in a clockwise direction, picking up the patient on the seaward side of the buoy. Here we can see the board paddler sits back so as to swivel the board more quickly around the buoy. The pickup technique which has become most popular involves the board paddler paddling up to the can, Sitting back to swivel the board more quickly as the patient ducks under the nose and then slides onto the board from the seaward side. The paddler then lays down and they both paddle back lying down to the beach. Let's take a look at the pickup from the water. Here we can see the paddler approaches. He sits back to swivel the board quickly, the swimmer ducks under the nose and then slides on from the seaward side of the board. The board paddler, as we can see from this angle, tucks in tightly behind the swimmer and then they must paddle back to the beach, trying to keep in perfect timing. When finishing, it is important to not lose contact with the board. The best way to do this is when approaching the beach, both paddlers should grab the handles on the right hand side of the board. This ensures when the board is being carried, the fin is away from the legs and shouldn't trip you up on your run up to the line. When catching waves, it is the paddler's responsibility in the rear to trim the board. With two paddlers on the board, it is even more important to trim when coming down waves. The rear paddler must move their weight back first to allow the front paddler to slide back also to avoid nosediving. The rear paddler can then lock their arms around the front paddler's legs, grabbing the handles and locking them onto the board. The main points in a good board rescue. Something to really practice is coming home together, two people on a board. Paddling in time and being good on the waves could win you a board rescue.